Daleen, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hi, guys. I have to say, being in the spotlight is, yeah. So I can't see that side, but I can see this side. So we've discussed cloud to death now and why we should go to cloud. And I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, is some sort of implementation on the cloud already. So I'm going to be a little bit not structured because I've got obviously prepared notes, but then I've listened to everything and I thought, I'll go through my notes, but I would like to share my personal experience where our journey started. And the company that was just before me, Genesis, they also went through my process that I would explain to you now in Absa. So let me just try and press this button thing. There we go. So I was asked to talk about, cloud in banking, become a digital bank. I think that ship has sailed long ago, just listening to the APIs. For the last, I don't know how many years we're doing it anyway. We are digitalized without even knowing it. When we went into the Arrow countries and we started to explain, or African countries, we call it Arrow and Absa. We look after 9 countries in Arrow. And I'm speaking about 7 years ago when we went for the first time. I would ask people, that people will ask me, and I'm not picking on the African countries, even globally, do you use Uber? Do you use Netflix? All of those things. Uber Eats is new. Do you do all of this and do you feel safe? Because it's all about safety. What happens to my data? Can I get hold of my data? All of those good things. I said to them, and you swipe your credit card and lekker, you take a lot, it's going to be delivered. You're comfortable using your credit card. So if you're comfortable to do that and you trust your bank and all the 15,000 touch points it goes through to make the transaction happen, why can't we just transform the whole bank into that? And that's exactly what Absa actually is busy doing. So I'm going to quickly run through this with you guys. So banking in the cloud, we know it needs to be agile, okay? So otherwise, we're not going to be first in the markets and so on. Absa's biggest problem is we've done, and sorry my F&B friends that's sitting here in Standard Bank, we've done a lot of things in the cloud, okay, and we just don't advertise it. We just get on with the job. So we will definitely work on our marketing people. I think we've improved on that so that people can know, hey, Absa's actually, we've been first and the rest is just followed. Just tongue-in-cheek, people. just tongue-in-cheek. What I also want to, I've spoken about that, legacy system. So here's one that I would actually like to talk to you guys about from a legacy system perspective. We've started our journey in 2017. My colleague that sits here, Absa, asked me, will you come and run the cloud for us? And I looked at him and said, I know actually not even, I know what cloud is in 2017, but I had to go and Google what does it mean for a bank and so on. So I started at level 0, did nothing, didn't know anything about cloud and how do you run it, how do you build a team, how do you train the people. I heard a lot of these questions in the audience. How do you get them excited? How do you get senior sponsorship and whatever else? So what happened in Absa's case is some person went to the board and said, here's our business case, we're going to save the bank X millions of rands, okay, over 3 years, and the board members all bought into that. That's what happens. It's all about cost savings. There's a reality behind all of this, okay? It's not about cost savings, at least not for the first 5 years or so, okay? So that's point number 1. And we don't have skill in South Africa, so we had to partner with people globally. Our primary vendor or service provider is AWS, although we are a multi-cloud company currently, but from a public cloud perspective, we currently with AWS. So we've partnered with AWS and they help us to grow this. Then we got to a point, okay, now we've started small, We didn't migrate anything. We built new. We started building new in the cloud. Today we've got over 500 new applications that's born in the cloud. Now, to put that in a cost-saving perspective, just on that, is that application would have used a footprint on-prem. Okay, so that box we can tick. We can tick the eco box as well, because AWS fully service or registered as one of the green eco, footprint as well. So we've got that. Now we needed to start deciding, okay, who and what are we moving to the cloud? Needed to create excitement. So in 2019, myself and the girl that works for me said, okay, we need board input, we need executive sponsorship. I don't need the CEO and the CIO to say, yes, Laka, we support you because we signed that big contract. I need the money. I need you to give me money to train people, to invest in people. So Absa is not shy spending money on training. We went to the board, we got executive sponsorship, and we started to create excitement. We were the first company of AWS at that point in time. I'm sure again another first. The rest has followed, okay? But that built a cloud, I'm sorry, but I'm very passionate about my job and Absa. So we were the first in the African continent that built AWS used their native word, the skills builder. We called it our Absa Cloud Incubator. To date, we have trained over 10,000 people already in the bank. It was important for us to train the board members as well, because we decided from the beginning it's cloud first, but not cloud only. And we're still on that journey. Cloud first, but not cloud only. That comes back to the legacy systems. Everything isn't at this point in time, like mainframe, fit for purpose, okay? So it's going to take another 3 or 4 years, I don't know, pick a number, before we're going to get mainframe to the cloud. So for the board to understand what do we mean by that and what does it mean in rand and cents, we've trained the board. Each and every board member in Absa Bank has been trained, and they get follow-up training. So when we speak in the boardroom or at any meeting, the CIO, the CEO, all their executives linked to that needs to understand the language. It's a different language. So we've got that buy-in. Now, the other big problem was finance. And if I flip through my files, you guys will see actually all of that. But I don't want to bore you with the detail unless you want me to go through that. But I'll rather give you my personal experience. Now we've trained all these people. We've trained finance to death. Okay, to death. They just different creatures. Sorry, guys, if you're a finance person, you know, like our developers is a breed. So finance people is also a breed. They look at rands and cents, the bottom line. Where am I going to make money? If you move something to the cloud, what are you giving up? I need money back. Blah blah blah. And so it went on. The biggest thing for me was not executive sponsorship. It wasn't to get money. Our business cases are airtight. Always get the money. What we're looking for is finance. So, guys, that's my biggest message. Finance people need to be aligned if you're going onto this journey. We're not talking about budgets. We don't talk about OPEX and CAPEX. It's a different world. And I don't want to go into the finance terminology now, but it's important for your finance people, more than your board members, to understand how their finances is going to work going forward. Every year, still, when we do our, I have to say they're there now. So we've created a big FinOps team. Our finance lead is now on top of it. She actually leads the FinOps portion of that. But when we go into budgets, they always want to know, okay, what projects are you going to do next year and how are you going to forecast for it? And then we've got, I don't know, 522 applications currently that's going to migrate in the next 12 months in Absa. So they wanted to know, how do I cost for this? It's difficult because it's depends on your architecture. It depends, and that's the other one. Somebody here spoke about it when it was the panel discussion about the culture shift. You, as an architect, as a developer, a designer, whatever you're called in your organization, DevSecOps, doesn't matter which methodology you follow, you need to take accountability and responsibility. In the old world, current and old world, you will put a business case forward. I want 50 servers. I'm going to do this. You wait 6 months, get your servers, plug it in. Okay, and then you go boss, and you just develop, and you stop worrying about this. Okay, it's paid. In the cloud, each and every, and that's where my colleague comes in as well, each and every developer, everybody that's got an AWS account is responsible for its cost. You have to show that you cost optimize. You have to show that you've architected. You have to show that you're scalable. All of those things. And with that amount of work that we've put in place, and I'll get back to my previous point, is that we've saved year to date $1 million for this year on our cost optimization. So I can't tell you how much our total bill is, but $1 million is a lot of money, guys. And purely because of that transformation and culture change with our tech people and the CIO. And there's still a lot of money on the table. We're far from doing it good. And there's a lot of people knocking on our doors and say, oh, we can cost optimize and save you 80 or 90% of your bill. Charity starts at home. If that's not your thing, you can outsource it to somebody and they take 25% of it. But I am a very stingy person. So we've got a small little team that looks after our FinOps. I think we're 3 people in total. We're 3 people in total. And this $1 million that I'm speaking about is only good housekeeping. I'm not even talking about buying savings plans and do this and that. There's a whole heap of other stuff that we do as well. My point I want to get back to, I told you guys I'm going to be unstructured, but I've got lots to say, is that you cannot forecast it. You can have a big idea, okay, on-prem, our SAP migration, we used 55 servers with these cores and CPU things and memory and blah, blah, blah. Now what happens is those guys that did not get the training, they want to architect that, and they want to do it like for like. Guess what that answer was when we did the forecasting? It's ridiculous. They said, are you mad? Why are you going to the cloud? You cannot do it that way. So finance people, we can give you an estimate. We've built models. We can play with what-if scenarios. We can do all of those good things. The proof is in the pudding. Okay, we'll give you an estimate, but your accounting needs to change to adapt with the new way of working. There is no forecasting, there's a high-level number. I know I call him our checkbook guy. Our CFO is going to shoot me and say, Daleen, I mean, you're talking crap. I mean, really? How can you say that? Because we need to do forecasting. That's a reality, and that's part of that culture change that we need to get into people's mind. I'm not saying we need a blank checkbook, guys. That's not what I'm saying at all. So, just to come back with East Cloud, which was actually my final question that they asked me, should we go cloud? Absolutely. Just want to see if it's that one. Wait. That one. No, sorry. Oh, one back. So should we go cloud? Absolutely, guys. It's a no-brainer. Don't do it at a big bang. Do it small. I know there's AWS even will tell you they've migrated whatever the bank's name is in the States over a weekend. Yeah, you can do that. Somebody else what was part of the panel, crap in, crap out, lift and shift. People don't know how to look after their stuff, so this is my personal experience. It doesn't work. There needs to be a fit for purpose for each and every one of your applications. We've got over 3,000 applications. We're only going to move the 550 for now. In 3 years from now, Absa will be, I think, 99.9% in the cloud with the exclusion of mainframe. So I hope that was not too boring and just verbal diarrhea. Yeah, I hope I've added. Is there any questions that you would like to ask me? Anything that I did not cover? I just wanted to make up time for, you know. So yeah, I can't see if somebody. I just want to add something from a regulatory point of view. We work very closely with the regulator. There is the guidance note 5 of 2018 that we need to adhere to. Everything of us can go to the cloud. Doesn't matter if it's payments or whatever else, it goes to the cloud. We've got a rigorous internal process. So the API presentation that you just saw here, they had to go through that. So if I were you guys and I was listening to it, I will think, data lossage, you know, data leakage, what about this, what about that? We took, not that I'm advertising them, I'm just using them as an example. We took them through that rigorous process. We test your security, your data privacy, your risk factor, the contracts, there's clauses in there. It goes through an architecture forum. We actually pulled out the architecture apart with all sorts of what-if scenarios. And then, if you're good, you get the tick. It sounds like a long, tedious process. It's not. You can do it within 4 hours, maximum 2 weeks. If you're in the African countries, it can take a year because of their regulation. But the South African regulation, we're adhering to. So your stuff is safe with Absa. Yes.
Sorry, my name is Thanks for the presentation. Thank you. How does Absa deal with the issue of data sovereignty, considering the fact that you are present not only in South Africa, but the other African operations, as you mentioned? Does it mean that some of the cloud services would be duplicated to cater for the regulation in those countries, or everything is centralized and the operations in those countries access your systems or even your data that is centralized in South Africa?
Okay. So at this stage, there's two answers to that. Where the data already exists in our local data center, because of those regulators, and it's not all of them, we're like on 50-50 on the regulator, we will move the stuff with the rest of the stuff per country into the cloud. Where the regulator doesn't want us to do that, it remains on-prem, which is not ideal because now everything goes up. We are working on a different plan, which I can't share publicly, but there's a plan on how to mitigate that. Yes. Yeah. What we don't do is we don't allow, well, we've got two, but it's minimal risk to the bank. We don't allow any data in the States or countries that doesn't have the similar laws as South Africa. The States is because of the Patriot Act. Yeah. I hope I've answered your question. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Hi, Daleen. Thank you. I think you've answered half of my question, but just a follow-up. It's just around the costs of compliance, risk, and all that. Do you see them scaling, going up with being on cloud, or are they still as normal as they used to be when you were on-prem?
I think it's cheaper, and my checkbook lady is sitting there. It's definitely cheaper because on the way we've architectured it, it's definitely cheaper. I do, however, want to just add to your question, is that while you do all these migrations, you need to have a tight hand on the on-prem as well. So depending on the system, especially if it's a payment, the CIO will prefer to run it parallel. Okay, but we calculate for that cost. That's why I said in the beginning, it's not cheaper. In actual fact, the overall cost can actually be a double bubble. We all know that, okay? So anything you move to the cloud, depending on the negotiations we had, you need to remove it off-prem in a certain period of time so that we can reduce that cost as well. But the stuff that's happening in the cloud from a risk and security perspective is much cheaper, yeah. Is that it, guys? All tired now after lunch? Cool. Thank you very much.